Michael, it all comes down to this, the final day of the season. It's in your hands, Destiny. Is that the message for the group this week? The premiership is in their hands. They just need to grasp it.
Yeah, look, I think that's definitely the idea. We need to do our part. We've put ourselves in this position that, if we win, we'll be premiers. It's definitely not a message that we're talking about, that it's in our own hands. For me, as I've mentioned so many times throughout the course of the year, we're focusing on the things that we felt we can do better from the Newcastle match. And there was definitely a few areas that we think we can improve on. And basically, we've been working on the last couple of days the strengths of Perth and how we can nullify them. So the message is more on how we continue to improve, and hopefully the outcome will take care of itself.
Amongst the players, I know you try to keep them focused, but when you look at what they can accomplish, back-to-back premierships, an invincible season, a place in history, I'm sure, is there a different energy amongst the group? Surely there's a little bit of excitement and buzz around the players.
Yeah, look, I'm sure they're talking about it, or if not, they're feeling it, because even me, as much as I'm not talking about it, it's something that's something that we can accomplish. So, but I think how we channel our energy and where we put that is obviously on ourselves, and how we can continue to improve and continue to, yes, this is an important match. We have a chance to win a trophy, but we obviously have a big final series and a Champions League campaign as well. So how we keep improving is the main objective here.
Well, I guess, how do you channel that then? Are you doing something different with the messaging? Or is it something that you're doing the same things, but you're keeping an eye out for any differences amongst the group that you might need to jump on early?
Look, I'm definitely having more of an observation this week on the players and how the mood is amongst the group, and because there's always that extra tension that potentially the pressure can that bring on you in these big moments, in these big games that it's going to be on Friday. So I haven't seen a change in the group. I think everyone's been quite upbeat. There hasn't been a huge difference. Today's training was excellent. So yeah, nothing really I can put my finger on that's any different. I think the energy is really high, and I'm sure they're feeling it internally. But come Friday, we'll be ready.
Is it a feeling of a bit of serendipity as well, that last season the girls had to go to Perth and they won the premiership with a win, and now lo and behold, what do you have to do to win the premiership? Go to Perth and get a win.
Yeah, look, I wasn't there last season, but from speaking to the staff mainly that were there, then yeah, there's that feeling of we're gonna do it again in Perth. I think last year was slightly different. That the week leading into it, they were obviously second, and then obviously I think that an hour or 2 hours before the match, Sydney obviously slipped up, and then it gave the opportunity for them to win it. Which is a good feeling for them to be able to, be able to handle, because you're sort of hoping, and then when obviously Sydney drop points the last round, then there's a huge spike of adrenaline, like, hey, we can actually win it here. So how they handled that they would have learnt a lot from that moment, and I'm sure that's going to help us going into the lead up that it has been this week and over the next 2 days before we play.
And in terms of the health and fitness of the squad that you're bringing over, are any sore bodies coming out of the Newcastle game that you need to manage?
No, a couple that we had to manage a couple of days after, but otherwise the last 2 days the girls have been firing and fresh, and like I said before, the session today was excellent. The only one is still Speckmeyer, that she won't travel, and hopefully she can be ready for the first semi.
So Speckmeyer is the only player confirmed not travelling?
Correct, yes.
And you mentioned looking at Perth Glory's strengths. I know they can't play finals, but no doubt they'll relish the opportunity to play spoiler. What have you seen from them?
Yeah, look, I think they gave us a good wake-up call in round one. They were 2-0 up and pressed us really well. I think they're a team that can press, and I think they do things really well. Normally their wingers are swing pressing and they're quite aggressive. So, and they're very good in transition, and I think they play some really good build-up as well. So they're all things that we're aware of. We've trained, we've seen how we can nullify that. The plans have been put in place, and then at the end of the day, it's up to the individuals. They're the ones playing, they're the ones feeling, and how we win our battles and how we can be aggressive and dominate the game like we try to, and play the City way is what we're looking to do.
Round one, last time you played Perth, that was your first A-League women game in charge of the side. How has your side grown and metamorphosised over the subsequent months?
Yeah, look, I think chalk and cheese from where we started to now. I think the consistency in all the main moments of the game, I think the understanding of what we're looking to do in all those moments is pretty clear. And we've been able to add a lot of different concepts on top of all those, where in the beginning we obviously had a 3-week lead into our Champions League campaign, which then helped us in preparation for round one. But all in all, you don't really have enough time to teach everything so early. You need to feed that through the season, especially in a tactical periodisation way. So we've sort of done that. And I think come the back end of the season, especially the last 8 or 9 games, I think we're definitely controlling and managing the game a lot better than we did in the first part of the season.
And with this, the last game of the season, a number of clubs' campaigns coming to an end, they'll start looking ahead. From memory, you have a lot of players already signed for next season under contracts, but I guess how big would be winning the premiership and guaranteeing yourself another campaign in Asia and extra games and extra opportunities do for retaining the players that you want heading into the off-season? If you can go to them, sit them down and say, listen, we've got all this football coming up, you want to be part of this project?
Look, hopefully the players are happy and want to stay. That's first and foremost. I think on my point of view and the club's point of view, we're very happy with the squad that we have. We try and give them the best environment possible, especially off-pitch. I think they get looked after really well. And I think, there is a fine line. Like, we do really well, and then a lot of our players are getting poached. So you hope that we can keep majority of the squad, but for sure we're going to have players get sold or move overseas and get better deals for themselves. So I'm happy for that, and hopefully the ones that we do want to retain, they don't ask for too much money, and we can still keep them in the salary cap.
Because I know Pedge and Michael have a lot of roles in that as well. Are you having discussions with them now already around who comes back, who you want, what areas you want to reinforce, that kind of thing? Yeah,
look, we're always having these conversations. Probably started a month or so ago on the players that we're wanting to. Some players have started to get spoken to about new contracts. We want to get an idea of what players and with their agents are looking for potential deals overseas. It's a big jigsaw. For me, you're always focused that probably 99% on the day-to-day and what's coming up, and then you have that 1% that you're sort of having those conversations in the background with the club, and more like you said, Pedge and Michael are sort of doing the salary cap and the sums and what's going to fit and how it's all working with the APL, and is there going to be an increase to the salary cap or not, and marquee player or not, and all these different conversations that are having that I like to know about. I have my input, but really my main focus is what's happening day to day in the next match.
You mentioned players with overseas interests there. I can think of one of your players that will be getting a lot of overseas interest. Holly's out of contract. Are you currently in discussions with her around coming back? Do you know what her plans are?
At this stage, we are having conversations. Obviously, as a club, we would love to keep her, but a player of that quality is going to get interest. She has been getting interest, and then it's going to be up to her to decide with her agent and family and her mentors on what she feels is going to be best for her career, because there's no doubt she's going to kick on and play at a lot higher level. Whether she feels that she needs to stay maybe a potential another year, especially with the Asian Cup coming up with the Matildas, because there's that fine line with some players that are on the fringe or breaking into the Matildas that you want to keep playing. And we've got such a strong league here that I think it's a great platform for our players, but financially, you can get bigger salaries in other leagues. So it's a difficult situation with some players because they want to play, they want to secure themselves and get better deals, but it's that risk. If you make that move potentially too early, or you get promised things that maybe don't eventuate, and you're not playing, then obviously that's going to hinder your chances to be in the Matildas setup. So I think we have a really strong league here in the A-League. I think players doing well are going to get opportunities in the Matildas, but the flip side is obviously financially players are going to get offered more in other leagues around the world.